local newspaper headlines about someone's life that has been lost, especially when it's been taken from them. Or the local news broadcast tells us about the horrible taking of a life and blood has been shed. Time will go by and we tend to forget, but heaven doesn't forget. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Shoftim. We're going to look in a moment at chapter 21 of the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, and read the first 9 verses. Before we do so, let's be mindful of the fact that this Torah portion is entitled Shoftim, Judges. And that is that there is a responsibility required of those that are called to the office of a judge, that they look and give a fair, unbiased, righteous verdict concerning the needs of jurisprudence, the arguments of law, but also upon those things that are violently done in their community. Let's go to chapter 21. Verse 1, it says, "When anyone is found slain, lying in the field in the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess, and it is not known who struck him, then your elders and your judges shall go out, and they shall measure the distance from the slain man to the cities round about. And it shall be that the elders of the city nearest to the slain man shall take a heifer which has not been worked, which is not pulled with a yoke. The elders of that city shall bring the heifer down to a wadi with flowing water, which is neither plowed nor sown, and they shall break the heifer's neck there in the wadi. And the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near. For Yahweh your Elohim has chosen them to serve him and to bless in the name of Yahweh, and by their mouth every strife and every stroke is tried. Let all the elders of that city nearest to the slain man wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the wadi, and they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, nor have our eyes seen it. O Yahweh, forgive your people Israel, whom you have ransomed, and do not allow innocent blood in the midst of your people Israel. And the blood guilt shall be pardoned them. Thus you purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh." Powerful words. Locally, if I were to watch the evening news, which I rarely do anymore, it is most often that the lead story is about some young person who was standing on a street corner 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and a drive-by happened and their life was taken from them. And the video of the news will show a vigil held in the young person's honor, with family member and friends standing around with a candle in their hand, with tears in their eyes, weeping about the senseless loss of life. Yes, questions need to be asked about what were they doing out on the street at that time of night. Yes, we need to talk about gang violence. Yes, there are a lot of community issues that need to be dealt with. But the fact remains that blood has been shed, and more often than not, these crimes go without actually finding out who pulled the trigger and why. So lives are lost, blood is shed, streets are stained, families are broken, hearts are broken, and it becomes a perpetual trend. And this is not just symbolic of something other in our neighborhoods or regional areas. It's nationwide, it's worldwide. Young people all over the earth are losing their lives to gang violence or to senseless crimes. Wars are taking unknown numbers of people's lives, and whether the wars are legitimate or not is up for the politicians to scratch their heads and figure out. But when Yah looks at this, we can shrug our shoulders and say, what are we to do? Who's going to stop this? Who can make any sense of this? Who's got an answer? Nobody does. And heaven is saying to those who are accountable for their community to rise up and do something. Well, if we go back to Bereshit, Genesis chapter number 4, it says that Yah approached Cain because his face had fallen and he was angry with his brother that his brother Havel or Abel had an acceptable offering and he did not. And in verse number 8 of chapter 4 it says, and it came to be when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Havel his brother and killed him. And Yahweh said to Cain, where is Havel your brother? And he said, I do not know him. I am my brother's guard. And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. And listen to what he says next. And now you are cursed. There is a curse on unredeemed, unjustified, unresolved, unpunished bloodshed. The American soil is soaked miles deep, perhaps, in unwarranted, unjustified, unresolved bloodshed. Generations, multiple generations of bloodshed. We watch the Western movies, the B-Westerns, where 6 shooters are blazing and people are falling all over the place, and we call it entertainment. But the Wild West was a blood-soaked time. The American wars against the First Nations people was a bloody affair. There have been multiple bloody wars on American soil. To say nothing of the abortion industry, blood-sucking the ground. And the senseless crimes. When we think about the rioting and loss of life on the northwestern coast within the last couple of years or so, over racial riots and those type of things, buildings destroyed, people's lives destroyed, lives taken, nothing was done. And we say, well, it'll stop, it'll heal itself. We fail to understand that while we don't pay attention and when we don't act and when we don't pray, oh Yah, forgive us of the innocent blood that was shed. Oh Yah, don't hold this to our charge. Enable us, oh Yah, to rise up and build a righteous wall against these things. Grant to us the power of deliverance from innocent lives being taken. When we say, well, there's nothing we can do, heaven will do something in our stead. And we will see days of judgment and outpouring of wrath. How many tornadoes, earthquakes, natural disasters, how many economic ruins, how many political governmental structures have to fall, how many disastrous things have to take place before someone says, I get it, we messed up. Who is it responsible? Here it says the elders and the leaders, the judges, shall take responsibility. Then they bring in the Levites, those who have religious authority, righteous standing with Yah. So who is responsible? The body of Messiah. We're not to expect that your local community leaders are going to recognize this need. Your mayors, your board of supervisors, your governors, they're not going to see this. But you and I should see it. And it's our responsibility to do something about it. What do? It says the answer is found in verse 8. O Yah, forgive your people Israel, whom you ransomed, and do not allow innocent blood in the midst of your people Israel, and the blood guilt shall be pardoned to them. Prayer. Repentance and prayer. We'll talk more about these things a little later on. Until then, Shabbat Shalom to you, your family, all who meet with you. Enjoy the presence of Yah. Enjoy Yahweh on this Shabbat. And we'll see you again next week. Until then, Shabbat Shalom.